Alrighty, what's good, beautiful people? How y'all doing today? Welcome to In God We Trust Academy podcast and work session season 9. Man, we on volume 8. Got 2 more weeks to go, and we will be done with this particular season. But definitely have learned a lot already on this journey. Always appreciative of each and every last one of you that vibes with us. We got about 4 minutes before we get started. So make sure that you like, share, and subscribe wherever you may be watching from at this particular time. And yeah, leave a comment, share. Few more minutes. Y'all can hear me good, loud and clear in here.
Yes, loud and clear.
Alrighty, guys. Well, those of you that are in the group, we've made a decision about what we're going to do. And it looks like we're going to be in both Atlanta and Chicago this summer. So we decided to do both.
Oh my goodness.
So we're going to do both Atlanta and Chicago. In God We Trust Academy will definitely be present. And it's going to be special because the classes that I have for this is going to be very powerful. Never done one like this before. And but it's definitely going to, I always try to push myself to be better than I was the last time. And to do things a little bit different than I did the last year. And just to push myself. And, so me pushing myself is also going to be me pushing you guys as well for you to do more and to learn more as well and how to, progress and move along with me. But right now we putting a lot of information out, and I just really just realized that like we got the fair credit reporting series going, we got the master merchant series going as well. Then all the other little small special classes that I'm doing in the group. Like it's a lot of information being put out, and I just want to say like if you're not taking advantage of it, then there's no excuse. I don't want to hear anything about when it comes to In God We Trust Academy serving the people when it comes to this information to the best way possible. And we're making it available to you. And even the special classes that we have, it's affordable to you as well. And we have other things that come around. Of course, we have our discount days and all of that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you can't make it to any of that, be here. Be here when we do this. And while we're doing this is going to take you further. I leave them up for a few days just so you can catch on. And then, so you still got time. It ain't shouldn't be an excuse that, oh, I didn't get a chance today. Make it your business to get a chance, because like I say, if you didn't get a chance to sit here and listen to this, you definitely got a chance to get on your phone and scroll for at least 30 minutes. And if you can take that particular time and remove that bad habit to a good habit into learning something, et cetera, and applying that energy, then you start to change your destination and track when it comes to the knowing and applying and the application of the law itself, right? And that's what we want to have everybody at, is to be able to bring you to those particular heights within this, right? Absolutely. All right, so we're definitely gonna do both. I know we're gonna do Atlanta first, so we'll do Atlanta first in June, and then July we will be hitting Chicago. So I'll see you guys there. Hope to see you guys there. We chose it based upon the people and not just me, because most time I just pick where I feel like I want to go and enjoy my vacation in life. And if y'all want to meet me there while I teach, then cool. But I figured I'd do it a little different this time and see what the actual people want, and how you guys want to go about doing this. So, and it's more appreciated as well. But I just get excited. I get more excited on meeting you guys and the greetings of it, and being able to delay the message and be able to help as well. But then also, I watch a lot of you guys become like super friends forever. You know what I mean? And become family in that way. And it's nice to know that something that, that I put together created a relationship amongst others in that way. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had nobody make no family or no babies yet, but we definitely didn't have some good friends. People be friends, but you know what I'm saying? But hey, whatever it is, let's just know that. And I'm just proud to say that, man. It's always powerful to be able to do this. Even now, I feel like I know you guys, and if I know if I'm ever in y'all city, and it's easier. Hey, man, what's up? Let me holler at you. Let me kick it with you. Let me take you out. Let me. You know what I'm saying? So it's always the nice gestures that is always, when I'm in people's city, or invites to let them know that I'm taken care of. That's a good feeling. And that just shows me that people do care. You're not asked to have to do anything, but if you try to go out your way to offer that to me, my family, and others, it's always appreciated. And for whether a little or a lot, I love it. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is, because it was the best of what you have to give, and that's precious, no matter what. So, but I'm excited. Now we got a lot of new ebooks out, so we do got some ebooks out for you guys, especially for the raffle. So if you're still interested in doing getting those particular ebooks, you have to get raffle tickets. I think we got what was the new ones that was just added? I think unlawful repossession, that one was added, and what else, guys? Anybody remember the other one right off the dome? And I got so much stuff going, y'all. I'm telling you. That's the unlawful repossession, I know for sure. Declaratory judgment handbook. Somebody asked about that. Matter of fact, it was one of you guys that asked me to do that and what that would look like. So that's done. And if you want that, just hey, two raffle tickets, $20, get it to you. It's yours free. You can have it. Take it, and it also gives you a chance to win some other great prizes. But definitely can have it in that particular nature. It's a very great book as well. Now, also, we got the. I'm going to finish up the FCRA class. I'll do it tomorrow. I've been saying I was going to get to it, but yeah, I've been having to really focus with my daughter on some things with school and stuff like that, and get her where she needs to be, man. And sometimes that stuff becomes a little bit more important than others. So just be patient with me on that. I gotta make sure my baby get to where she need to be, as well as I see and teach y'all and try to get y'all where y'all need to be. So, it's all part of it, man. Sometimes you get thrown to the left and the right, but we still got to be able to make it happen. So, I'm still going to make it happen. No excuse on my end, and it will definitely take place. All right. So, how y'all feeling in here?
Amazing.
doing good, amazing, blessed man.
Profound gratitude.
Well, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see what type of day y'all want to have today. See the ebook that we got to cover today. It's only 35 pages. I'll be done with that in less than 30 minutes. Sitting here talking and reading with y'all. We can either carry it on Wednesday, and we can have a side quest on Wednesday, or we can take the side quest today. Which one of y'all want to do?
I can vote either way. It don't matter to me. However y'all want to do it.
Right. I agree. Because we can do the
To you.
Q&A.
Oh, y'all see, look, now y'all sounding like the wifey, man. I can't be asking what you want to eat, and then you always throw it right back at me now. Y'all got to say something. It's either or whatever you think. Like I should.
Repeat it. I was
Choices
doing
again?
dishes.
You say what now?
Said repeat the options. I was doing dishes.
Yes.
Oh, it's just basically we can either go on this because the ebook that I have today for us in the Master Merchant Tax series, it's only 35 pages, so it's not long at all. It's something y'all know we'll probably be done with in less than 25, 30 minutes. So we can either take care of that today or tomorrow, or Wednesday, or we can go on our side quest today.
Eric, you can't take care of it Wednesday. Wednesday's the last Monday or the last Wednesday of the month. Wednesday.
It is, ain't it?
Yep.
Or well, it's on y'all either today or Monday. Or that
Knock it
Monday
out the
following.
box. Let's get it done today.
Y'all want to get it done today? All
Yeah,
righty.
let's get it done today.
Yes.
Let's do it today.
All right. So the one that we're talking about is religious and nonprofit. So that might be up some of y'all's alley, huh? All right, that's what we on today. So we're going to make sure that we hit that record button and we're going to get started. See what y'all got in mind. All right, welcome to In God We Trust Academy and our work session, season 9. And we are present and in the moment and in a great time to be here that God has allowed and presented us this beautiful day. Guys, do not waste the moment. Do not waste the time. Do not waste it. Okay? Whatever you may be going through is temporary. And the key word is you're going through it. It did not stop you. So do keep that in mind. All right. Always appreciated of you guys' time. Thank you for the hearts. Appreciate you for your time and everything that you guys do to make this possible as well. Remember, if you want to join us in work sessions to be able to come in here, talk, ask questions, stuff like that, admin at ingodwetrustacademy.org. Again, that's admin at ingodwetrustacademy.org. And you will just say you want to be registered to work sessions. And that also gives you the opportunity to receive, and I'm still going to get that ebook out to y'all. I just got notified that I haven't sent it yet. So I will send it to her and it will go out to you guys. All right. But yeah, you will get those things, those free things that comes around and stuff like that. But if you're not in here logged in with us on our email list, then yeah, you're not going to be getting the free things when they come by. So make sure you do your due diligence in that. Again, thanks to the Most High for this moment in time and allowing us to have the meetings of the mind right now and just being able to become one and studying of the law itself, and just being able to be prepared and ready and able and capable. But continue to give us the will and the power to persevere through these things that may challenge us and that we know that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. So, we definitely give thanks, right? All right, everything that you hear from this point forward is for education and religious purposes only. Anybody seeking any form of legal advice, please do seek a legal advisor. All right, so I'm going to read these 2 verses to you guys. I think I'm going to start reading these from now on. I think y'all already know the first one I'm going to read. Somebody say it. What am I about to read?
Joshua 1:8.
Absolutely. Joshua 1:8.
Joshua 1:8.
Now, I want you to be very, 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 very calm in spirit when you listen to this and be able to receive, because this is your only options that you have. One tells you what's going to happen when you do something. The other one tells you what's going to happen when you don't do something. So Joshua 1:8 says, keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Now, we about to read Hosea 4:6. And what does Hosea 4:6 says? It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. I will also forget thy children. That's heavy. And it's easy to know that if you don't know the law and you're not teaching and learning the law every single day and you're not abiding by it, then what's going to happen to your children? They're not going to know the law. And if they don't know the law, how can God, how can justice, how can it know your children? What does that make y'all think about?
Can we come
God,
back from all this bullshit?
God telling us how to protect ourselves.
Gotta have a responsibility.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. It's deep. It's deep enough to know that now you got to do something about it. We can't keep crying about God this and God that when God just said, hey, man, the knowledge is there. Not you rejecting the knowledge. So that's why we got to stay and study every day, guys. Every day. This is not a one time. As you can see, it said every day. It didn't say it was a one time kill all type situation. No, it's a every day. Every day. All right, so we on volume 8, religious and nonprofit tax law here. And the purpose is to dismantle exemption myths and replace this with statutory control, correct classification, and defensive posture as well. All right, so tax exempt versus non-taxable. The Internal Revenue Code does not operate on behalf, intent, mission statements, or moral purpose. It operates on classification, source, character, statutory authority. Nearly every religious organization, nonprofit, and ministry that experiences enforcement action fails not because it has violated the law, but because it misunderstood which legal category it was operating in. The most damaging mistake is confusing tax-exempt status with non-taxable income. These are not similar concepts. They do not arise from the same authority. They do not produce the same consequences, and treating them as interchangeable collapses defenses before enforcement even begins. Tax exempt is a condition granted by statute. Non-taxable income is a condition defined by law. One requires recognition, compliance, and ongoing obligation. The other exists regardless of registration, approval, or disclosure. Understanding this distinction is the foundation of lawful, religious, and nonprofit operation. So tax-exempt status is not immunity from taxation. It is a conditional statutory privilege that applies only to entities that fall within specific classifications created by Congress. When an organization claims tax-exempt status, it is not declaring that that its income is outside the scope of taxation. It is declaring that it is inside the tax system, subject to the Internal Revenue Code, but the Congress has chosen not to impose tax on certain categories of income so long as the organization complies with ongoing statutory conditions. Exemptions exist only because Congress created it. The fact alone defines its limits. A grant can be regulated, conditions suspended, examined, and revoked. The moment exemption is claimed, the organization accepts oversight authority, reporting expectations, classification tests, and enforcement jurisdiction. This is why exemption always carries administrative consequences. The code does not allow exemption without supervision because exemption is not a natural right. It is a legislative construct. So exempt entities are not invisible to the IRS. They are registered participants within the federal tax frame. Their income is tracked, categorized, reviewed, periodically examined for compliance. The question for exempting entities is not whether they are subject to tax law, but whether they are complying well enough to maintain the privilege Congress has granted them. So when income is non-taxable by nature and not by exemption, it's outside exemption entirely. Okay, so it is not exempt from tax. It is not exempted from tax. It is never classified as a taxable income in the first place. The distinction matters because the code does not require permission to exclude what was never included. Where exemption is elected and conditional, non-taxable income is inherent and automatic when statutory conditions are met. The tax code does not tax entities. It taxes income, and only when that income meets specific definitional thresholds. If an inflow does not meet statutory definition of gross income, no exemption is required. No registration is required. No filing is required. No defense is required. The law simply does not attach. So this is the point most organizations never learn. They assume taxation is the default and that exemption is the escape. In reality, taxation is conditional and exemption is merely one of the several ways Congress has chosen to limit tax in defined circumstances. Non-taxable income arises from classification, character, and structure, not from approval. Okay, so organizations that understands this do not chase exemption to protect themselves. They structure operations so that inflows never become taxable income at all. So it all goes back to classification and structure, right? So why exemption status often create regulation? Because exemption is not neutral. It is regulatory by design, and Congress does not give away revenue without retaining control. When an organization claims exemption, it accepts a role inside a monitored class. The class carries definitions, tests, prohibited activities, documentation standards, and enforcement mechanisms. None of these apply to income that never enters the tax base. And this is why exemption frequently produces more problems than protection. Once exempt status is asserted, regulators are no longer required to prove jurisdiction. The organization has already conceded it. The only remaining question becomes compliance. So examinations focus not on whether the law applies, but on whether the organization has violated the conditions of the privilege it requested. Organizations that overclaim exemption often believe they are shielding themselves. In practice, they are opening the door to supervision that would never exist if their income were properly classified as non-taxable from the outset. So it goes back. Classification, right? Tax exempt does not mean tax immune. Exempt entities are still governed by the Internal Revenue Code, right? They are subject to definitions of income, reporting thresholds, employment classification, prohibited transactions, and revocation standards. The only difference is that certain income streams are relieved from tax so long as compliance continues. So exemption is always a grant. It's never a right. Understand that. Non-taxable income exists outside exemption frameworks entirely. It does not rely on recognition, none whatsoever, right? And that's the point is, if it's non-taxable, I don't care how much money came through, you don't report it. There's nothing to report. Because as soon as you were open to report, you open to supervision, and you probably applied some type of liability to yourself that didn't ever exist. Right? And the only way that can happen if you do not classify. Overclaiming exemption creates jurisdiction. Every time an organization files for recognition, submits an informational return, or represents itself as exempt, it establishes a relationship with the taxing authority. The relationship brings scrutiny, expectations, and enforcement pathways that would not otherwise exist. Non-taxable classification avoids filing entirely because the law imposes no duty to report what it does not tax. Simple. Where no filing obligation exists, silence is lawful. Silence is not avoidance. It is compliance with the actual scope of the statute. This is the difference between operating defensively and operating reactively. Defensive operations begin by preventing jurisdiction from attaching. Reactive operation begins after jurisdiction has already been conceded. So again, classify so you can be aware of what's taxable, what's considered to be a non-taxable event, or if you're operating in a tax-exempt status, that you are still within that boundaries, the jurisdictional that the statutes have created to keep you in exemption. And remember, it's a grant. It's not a right. All right? So with this distinction is understood and applied correctly. Organizations stopped asking permission for income that was never taxable. They stopped volunteering themselves into regulatory frameworks that do not apply, right? Religious bodies under the Internal Revenue Code does not treat all religious activity the same. So it does not impose a universal regulatory framework on belief-based bodies. The most common error made by religious organization is assuming the code requires registration, recognition, or permission in order to operate lawfully. That assumption is false. The code distinguishes between automatic recognition, elective recognition, and voluntary submission. So, the IRC explicitly recognizes that the certain religious bodies exist by fact, not by application. Automatic recognition is not granted by the IRS. It is acknowledged by the statute. When automatic recognition applies, no filing is required to establish status, and no application is required to receive protection. The law recognizes the entity's nature without administrative involvement. Elective recognition, by contrast, is a voluntary act. When an organization elects recognition, it is not confirming a pre-existing legal reality. It is choosing to enter a regulated classification system administered by the IRS. The choice brings with it reporting duties, compliance expectations, and oversight authority that did not previously exist. And the code never requires a religious body to elect recognition in order to exist or operate. Election is optional, guys. Okay, it's not mandatory. So churches versus religious organizations versus ministries. The code distinguishes between categories of religious activities, and those distinctions matter. A church is not defined by incorporation status, a tax filing, or a nonprofit designation. It is defined by functional characteristics and religious operation. Because of this, churches are treated uniquely under the code and are afforded protections that do not extend to all religious organizations. So religious organizations and ministries, while still religious in nature, do not automatically receive the same statutory treatment as churches. The distinction does not make them unlawful, inferior, or taxable by default. It simply means their treatment depends on how they operate, how funds are received, and whether they voluntarily submit to regulatory framework. The fatal mistake occurs when ministries and religious body self-classify as nonprofits when no statute requires them to do so. Nonprofit classification is not a religious category. It is a corporate and administrative category. Once adopted, it overrides religious treatment and replaces it with nonprofit regulation. So if you operating from a religious aspect, guys, well, there's no reason to ask to be, you're going to create a burden for yourself. Really. So just remember that. The IRS did not monitor belief, it monitors paper. Visibility is triggered by filings, registration, application, and voluntary disclosure. The code does not authorize the IRS to supervise religious bodies absent a statutory trigger. That trigger is almost always self-created. Applications for recognition, informational returns, payroll filings, public charity registrations all signal participation in the regulated nonprofit system. Once those signals are sent, the IRS no longer needs to establish authority. The organization has already consented to oversight through its actions. And this is why silence is not avoidance. Silence is lawful where no duty exists. So it's no reason to say anything if there was no lawful reason or there was no statute imposing liability upon you. All right? If you're not even considered in those classifications of persons that the statute applies to. So, just reporting something, just to report something, just to be saying something is kind of going to cause you some problems. Because, again, you are the main record holder of everything that's going on. And it always matters about classification and structure. All right? So, the IRC, subsection 508, C1A, establishes that churches, their integrated auxiliaries, and conventions or association of churches are expected from the application process required of other exempt organizations, right? This exception is not procedural convenience. It is statutory recognition that religious bodies exist independently of administrative approval. So IRC subsection 6033A3 further confirms that churches are not required to file annual information returns. This is not a filing exemption granted by the IRS. It is a filing absence created by Congress. Where no reporting duty exists, no compliance obligation can be imposed. So examination limits placed on churches are not privileges negotiated with the IRS. They are statutory constraints placed on the government. The burdens rest on the agency to meet strict requirement before inquiry is permitted. So the time limit collapsed the moment an organization voluntarily places itself in a non-religious classification. So not filing is lawful when no statutory duty exists. The code does not require religious bodies to prove they are religious. It presumes their status unless organization takes affirmative steps to redefine itself. So they already saying just because you are religious, you are non-taxable. You're just automatically non-taxable. Now, when you go to asking to be recognized and doing all this type of stuff, and now you're asking to be recognized under certain tax exempt status and stuff like that, and that's going to be required for you to start operating with other, corporations and stuff like that. But when you do that, now you start opening yourself up to a liability that now you got to report. Got to report everything. Absolutely. All right. Donations versus compensation. No area of religious or nonprofit operation generates more enforcement action than the improper handling of money received from supporters. The Internal Revenue Code does not care what an organization calls a payment. It determines tax treatment based on what the payment represents in substance, how it is conditioned, and where the value was exchanged. Organizations that collapse do so not because they receive money, but because they fail to distinguish support from payment for services. Once that line is crossed, income is recharacterized, payroll obligations arise, and penalties follow automatically. So a gift exists only where the transfer is made from detached and disinterested generosity without expectations of goods, service, access, labor, or measurable benefit in return. The moment value is exchanged, the payment ceases to be a gift regardless of the label placed on it. Quid pro quo transactions are not defined by intent or faith. They are defined by exchange. So the whole time thing is this. You ever heard the phrase be a cheerful giver? Be a cheerful giver. If everybody learns to be a cheerful giver, then guess what? Everybody will be given to what is due to be due. Because you are a cheerful giver. If a contributor receives instruction, counseling, access, products, labor, or performance in connection with the payment is no longer a gift to the extent of the value received. This rule applies to religious bodies, nonprofits, and ministry. There is no religious exception to the doctrine of exchange. So again, be a cheerful giver. And the other thing is, in order for you to really work in a situation like this, you know what you got to do? You know what I'm saying? Everybody got to be an understanding of what it means to be a cheerful giver. You have to learn to truly value one another in your cheerful giving. Yeah, y'all understand what I'm saying?
Completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, organizations destroy themselves when they treat transactional payments as donations, and the IRS does not need to argue motive or belief. It simply applies valuation and reclassification. Once reclassified, reporting payroll consequences attached retroactively. So restricted contributions are funds given for a specific purpose designated by the donor and accepted by the organization. Unrestricted contributions are funds given without limitation and subject to organizational discretion. This distinction matters because restrictions demonstrate donor intent, which controls classification. Restrictions do not convert compensation into donations. So a payment restricted for a program, project, or mission remains a contribution only if it does not compensate any individual for services rendered. So where restricted funds are used to pay for labor, that labor payment is compensation regardless of the original source of funds. Organizations often commit fatal errors by assuming that donor restrictions immunize payments from wage classification. They do not. The character of the payment to the worker is determined by the relationship between the organization and the individual, not by the donor's intent. So, again, are you a cheerful giver? I mean, like, really, it's so easy, man. When you read this, I guess what people like to call them is like loopholes, right? And have you ever wondered why you ever just seen somebody just donating so much money? Like, why did they just donate $20 million to this person? You know what I'm saying? Why did they donate this amount of money? Or why they dump so much money over here? What was the purpose of that? And you know, these people, they move money. They're not just giving away money to do something. It always leads to an end of benefits into somebody's pocket. But based upon how it's being classified, based upon how it's being offered, right? Or given, that is what creates the situation. But if you fully follow the money, you will see that at the end, somewhere, somebody is definitely reaping the benefits on it. Right? So now this is why from the very beginning, everything is about our classification and how did we going to classify. So mislabeling services donation is not a harmless mistake. It creates false records that collapse defenses during examination. When services are rendered, compensation exists by law. No disclaimer, face statement, omission language alters that fact. Treating payments as untaxed gifts when value is provided exposes the organization to income reclassification, employment tax liability, penalties, and interest. These consequences arise automatically once exchange is established. So creating compensation without a payroll structure compounds the error, and paying individuals regularly, predictably, or in exchange for duties without proper classification converts the organization into a non-compliant employer regardless of religious status. So proper receipt language is not cosmetic. Receipt must accurately state whether goods or services were provided and must disclose any quid pro quo value. Failure to do so is evidence of mischaracterization, and donor intent controls classification only at the organizational level. So documentation must clearly distinguish between funds given to support the mission and funds used to compensate labor. Internal records must reflect this separation precisely and consistently. But again, be a cheerful giver. Why don't you just go and give and let the people decide, or the ministry or the church decide what it cheerfully wants to give back to you? And then again, I said, this all has to take place in a safe place where everyone truly understands what it means to value. Yeah, value the mission. We ain't even going to say your service. We're going to say value the mission. That is this clicking for some of you guys? Maybe.
Yes.
Yay, yay, not nay.
Yay. Another level. You're taking it to another level. Yeah.
Okay. I hope y'all getting it, because it's there for you to see and there for you to have. All right. So, ministers, officers, and workers. Ordained ministries occupy a unique position under the code because they are treated as employees for income tax purposes and as self-employed for Social Security and Medicare purposes, specific to specific statutory exceptions. This dual status is not elective. It applies operational law when ministerial functions are performed. Ministerial statuses arise from performance of sacerdotal duties, conduct of religious worship, and administration of religious ordinance. So what it's saying here is like, and it all goes into classification. So what I'm trying to help y'all say is like, instead of just receiving money, then sometimes it should be that the church just take care of you. Because when you go to making an exchange in the value of funds, what happens?
X. Now you gotta
It's so-
classify.
Yeah. And see, it's no reason, if you truly understand, like, all right, I understand everybody want to do what they want to do with their own money. But, okay, well, get your ass taxed then. But it needs to be an understanding that you need to know how to move in a way that, yeah, you are an ordained minister, but you're not receiving any exchange of funds in your name. So let's say if you got a home or whatever, it's automatically taken care of, and this becomes expenses of the what?
Ministry.
Ministry.
All right. So now the question is that taxable?
No.
Nope.
No.
Exactly. See what I'm trying to get y'all to understand? Yeah, it's there. Because, like, once you read what the laws say, now you just have to structure yourself to not be in that area to be taxed. And it's just that simple. So if you can see it and see exactly what it's saying, like, oh, okay, so I'm taxing this way, well, bet I don't want no money. I don't need no exchange of funds coming directly in my name in no situation, no type of way. Even if you exchange it, even if you give it to a trust for the specific purpose of paying for something, I don't care, but don't put it in my name. Because that's almost 30%, right? On taxation, remember? And who wants that? I damn sure don't. It ain't 30% is a lot. You ever watch those movies? When you be watching those movies, man, that people, when they hit 30%, they like, hold up, that's too much, man. I mean, you get 20%. You know, they start negotiating quick when they hit at 30. That 30 is not something that people want to comply to. You know what I mean? So just to understand that. Ministerial status arises from performance of sacerdotal duties, conduct of religious worship, and administration of religious ordinance. Ordination alone is not controlling. So function governs. When ministerial duties are present, the dual status framework applies regardless of how the organization prefers to treat the individual. The most common areas attempted to force ministries into employee or contractor categories for convenience. Doing so does not change the law. It only creates misclassification that collapses defenses during examination. Officers and fiduciaries act on behalf of the organization in the governance of administrative capacity. Their authority flows from governing instruments, not employment agreements. However, the fiduciary capacity does not automatically exempt compensation from reporting. The tax treatment depends on whether payments are made for services rendered or as reimbursements, allowance, or distributions consistent with governing authority. When fiduciaries receive regular payments tied to operational duties without clear documentation, the IRS will treat those payments as wages. Fiduciary titles do not override substance. So governance roles must be clearly separated from labor roles to preserve classification integrity. So only thing I keep hearing is don't exchange the funds directly to yourself. Take the funds and make the ministry or the church or whatever pay the bill. I mean, do anybody else hear anything else different?
Nope.
Because soon as you receive that funds in any type of way that was related to a gain or profit at that particular time or a source of income, then now that income has to be passed on somewhere. And that's the reason why if you are dealing in income, then you need to learn the pass the buck method. And one of the ways they pass the buck always is in trust. Because the thing about the trust can hold something and not distribute that money, as we already know. So if you create the actual church and set it up like a trust as well, it can hold particular money and not distribute it to certain times. And then now, while you hold that money for, let's say it don't distribute to 3 years. Well, that's 3 years of having money that's like the having the talents, right? The story of the talents. Are you going to just bury the money and not do anything with it? Or are you going to increase it? That's the question. You see what I'm saying? Gotta be able to know that. And now when it comes time to distribute that money, whoever is going to be distributed to, they can either receive it personally, or if it goes into another one, let's say it falls into another trust or whatever, and it's supposed to be distributed to another beneficiary. That means they passed the buck. The tax still can't be put on this trust. It's supposed to be distributed to the beneficiary. but it ain't happening until 3 years. So now this trust got the same thing to do. And this can be a continuous cycle that never stops. Right? Real talk. But it's all about structure. And it's all about truly understanding. But you got to really be. And what this whole ordeal deals with, being around some righteous people. You can't be around snake people and all that type of stuff that's going under like devalue you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I see what you're doing. So I'm not here to pay for a product. If you want to give me something, then you can give it. But I'm here to gift you and donate this amount of money to you. Are you a cheerful giver to give me what I'm asking, to gift me, right? And something that you may seem that I should have. Like, are y'all understanding where I'm going with this? Seriously.
Yeah, it's a different frequency. It's a different coming from
Yeah.
your heart. Yeah, without attachment to how something it has to come back or be returned. You're just given.
Absolutely. So when the rich man asked Christ how to enter the kingdom of heaven, he told him to go give all his stuff to the people. And he thought that, and the thing is the guy was so sad because he was materialistic, of course, but the thing about it was he didn't understand that he was the people. If he would have gave, he was the people. God would have gave it back to him 10 times fold. Gave, gift. Go and give to the people. And then God was like, I'm going to give back to you 10 times more. So I actually started thinking about that. And that's the reason why I say a lot of the situations that we are in today is because of our lack of knowledge of the law. I don't think most people will operate in what you call a corporate world, corporate type of way, if you knew how to be cheerful givers.
I think the breakdown is in trust. Like we're all learning how to trust ourselves and trust in God, you know. But we forgot we forgot that we're supported and that we get what we need. It will come.
Right. So what you get is when everybody becomes a cheerful giver in a community of people, then you have a very thriving community because everybody understands and truly understand where to give, where to continue to give. Now nobody can be lacking. But in order for everybody to continue to give, you got to be on game about what you do too. You know what I'm saying? Like you over here gifting your services to help people to do, I don't know, anything in relations to law, you gifting. And then you go over here to this person that's cutting the hair, he's gifting. Right? Everybody's gifting. You know? And you constantly gift and donate to these people and their what's the names, and you just go sit down. They didn't charge you nothing, but you did gift. You gave a donation. Like if you know it costs you $25 every time you get into a seat to get your hair cut, then why don't you just gift $100 and go get your hair cut?
Wow.
I mean, it's just that simple. Now, what you gave to him is not taxable. It's not taxable income upon him. It was a gift, and it had nothing to do with any form of services. But on this particular day, when he sees you, he's gifting a haircut to you. So he can have a gifting day, like where he's cutting free hair. He's cutting hair for free. But he does that because of all the donations that has been gifted to him.
Mhm.
So he's able to have this free haircut day or week or a month or a year because of all the gifting the cheerful givers have been giving. And the thing about it is, this ain't something that just far-fetched. This is literally can be done according to the law. Right? How many people gonna see that though? That's the question. How many people truly understand that?
Well, I think as we start to embody and stand and start offering in this way, people will start to get it. Start to get it.
Absolutely. So same thing for volunteers. Volunteers provide services without expectations of compensation. Reimbursement for actual expenses may be permitted if properly documented, but any payment that exceeds reimbursement or is tied to service performance converts the volunteer into a worker under law. The moment money flows in connection with duties, volunteer status collapses. So again, be a cheerful giver. Cheerful. Man, this is
So
something. You say what?
theoretically, so if your trust, for instance, claimed your labor and you were volunteering your service to a certain project, um, and if that project and you finish that project, if your ministry or some other entity received a donation for said project, by you volunteering your labor, that ministry could or that entity could give you a stipend or a donation or something. Is that
Yeah, it could
what
gift it to you in donations, but it has
Mhm.
to be a gift and
Okay,
no
it has to be
relations or connection to the service. So they just say, hey, we wanted to gift you this for your honorable presence of being here with the mission today. And we see that you are need certain necessities. So we gifting. You see what I'm saying? Or even if it means that you just bring, you show expenses. Now that becomes charitable work. So if you show expenses that you have going on to this particular church and saying, hey, I got a light bill, this, that, and yeah, so now it's charitable work, still non-taxed.
And so you were saying you don't need any authority to define you as non-taxable. You're non-taxable just because you're moving per your religious gene
Facts.
or whatever.
Yeah, but it needs to be fully in relation to that. That's why I say everybody has to be considered a cheerful giver. Because like even and I'm saying this, even if you do, like, even if you just go out here and you are actually making income with your trust. But the thing is once you pay tax one time and you're gonna pay a lower tax, then you should truly understand from that point on, it should be in the gifting in nature to you. You don't compensate yourself, you don't pay yourself. You just make the trust take care of your expenses. So that means like it becomes what you call a trust certain expenses. Like you don't let it pay you. And now this trust runs a charitable service to do certain things in relationships. And then honestly, for real, to keep it directly from your name, don't even put it in your name. Create a LLC or something else and let it put itself in the house and own the house and all of that. And it's taking care of and it owns the LLC and it's taking care of the expenses of it. And nothing's never attached to you, but you're able to enjoy it all. Holding companies is fine too. However you choose to see it and do it, but it's all about structure, and you keep it at a gifting in nature, because that's why I said, like, yeah, if you're going to go do some work, and instead of receiving compensation, then let the church pay on the charity for your expenses. That's charitable, no tax, and you still pretty much got the same money that you would have received, but it only took care of expenses for you. And there's no harm in that.
Do you need anything to like when people donate? Do you need any type of statutory certification to be able to prove that they donated X amount of anything?
You just need to make sure a person write out how much they donated to you and sign it. That's all you need.
Oh, and that's all they need to prove that they donated.
Yeah, documentation. And then you can give them a receipt for the donation for a write off. Tax write off. So, the Minister Housing Allowance is narrowly defined statutory benefit that applies only to individuals who qualify as ministers performing ministerial functions. The allowance must be designed in advance by the organization and may only exclude from income the lesser of the amount designated. So the amount actually used for housing expenses or the fair rental value of home furnished plus utilities. This is not a discretionary benefit. It operates only within these constraints. Designation after payment is ineffective. So excess allocations are taxable by operational law. So that's why I said you're not supposed to get paid and then go pay the stuff. No, you let it pay for it. So the code does not permit retroactive corrections through explanation or belief. Organizations often destroy protections by designating household alliance informally or after payments have already been made. So once that error occurs, reclassification is mandatory. So if you pay yourself and then turn around and go pay the utility or the rent, etc., and then it's you just messed it up. That's why I said let it pay for it, because that is considered part of its expenses. And now there is no relationships of the exchange of money or taxation to you or a gain or a profit in that nature, right? So personalized use involves housing provided directly by the organization for ministerial residents. Where properly structured, the fair rental value of personalized may be excluded from income. However, personalized treatment applies only when the housing is provided as a part of ministerial service and controlled by the organization. So again, keep your name out of it, right? And this collapses when the housing is treated as a personal property, when expenses are paid without substantiation, meaning that you need documentation, guys, or when the arrangement resembles compensation rather than provision of residence. So that means that they're paying you and then you're taking it out of your account to go pay them. Now that looks like compensation. The IRS does not examine belief, it examines control. So how are you controlling and moving the money is what matters, right? Support stipends and living expenses coverage are not housing allowance by default. They are taxable compensation unless they qualify as accountable reimbursements under established rules. So payment labeled as support or stipend do not escape taxation unless they meet restrict substantiation and business connection requirements, because you're not doing that. Right? Accountable arrangement require expenses to be incurred for organization purposes, documented with receipts and reimbursement only to the extent of actual costs. So you got to ask yourself, your clothes that you wear, is it considered to be your religious attire, the company attire, is uniform? Like, this is what you're doing. This is what you're doing in your ministerial service, etc. It's really based upon how you do it. And then, like I say, nothing goes in your name. Anytime something hitting into your name, it hits every single time. Every time. Right? Designation requirements are absolute. Housing allowances must be approved and recorded in advance through proper organizational actions. Post hoc designation has no legal effect. So reasonableness standards apply to all support. Excessive allocations related to duties performed are evidence of disguised compensation and invite reclassification. So substantiation rules are non-negotiable. Expenses must be documented, allocated properly, and retained as records. Unsupported payments are wages regardless of intent, right? So retroactive designation is a primary audit trigger. It signals the payments were made first and justified later, which defeats statutory protection. Overallocation triggers scrutiny because it demonstrates misuse of statutory benefits beyond permitted limits. So mixing personal organization funds destroys classification integrity. Once funds are commingled, the IRS presumes compensation. And all of this can only happen by one way, and that's the lack of classification, guys. Take your time and classify your work. So UBI, unrelated business income. And that's just pretty much anything that is unrelated business income exists to prevent tax-exempt entities from competing in commercial markets. So unrelated activity is created when income is derived from the trade or business that is not substantially related to the organization exempt purposes, aside from the need to generate funds. All right. So what you have to realize is, well, let me finish reading. The test is not whether the revenue supports the mission financially, but whether the activity itself advances the missions functionally. The code does not tax the existence of commerce. It taxes commerce conducted in a capacity that exceeds or bypasses exempt purpose. So when an organization engages in activities that resemble ordinary commercial enterprises, classification becomes unavoidable unless structural safeguards are in place. Organizations often assume that using revenue for religious or charitable purpose eliminates UBI. So that assumption is incorrect. Purpose of use does not override character of the activity. So the regularly carried on test examines frequency, continuity, and manner of operation. Activities conducted with the same regulatory and commercial characteristics as similar for profit enterprise meet the test regardless of organizational intent. So occasional, sporadic, or infrequent activities may fall outside this classification. However, once activities become systematic, advertised, or operationally consistent, the test is met. The IRS does not evaluate motive, it evaluates operational pattern. So when it comes to stuff like this, again, it just goes to if you're going to consider it as being business income and you made some money, it's nothing wrong with income, guys. The thing is when you start considering stuff as being as a form of income, then you need to make sure that you classify it and bring it in the less way taxable possible. That's what you got to understand. You want to take the least tax hit that you can take. And that is the best way to classify. And then once it reaches into, if you got a trust or whatever the entity that it may be, you need to make sure from that point on, it's not taxed again. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It matters. Like everything you not, because like if you doing something that where you operate in, you make money, it is what it is. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. But the next thing you need to know is how to take the least tax hit possible. And once you take that, then don't make it. If you're doing it through trust, then don't let it go come in. And if the trust don't take the tax, that means that whoever it distributes to has to take the tax. And if you learn to delay the distribution up under that, as we read throughout this, then guess what? That gives you a certain amount of time to make sure and ensure that you're able to cover whatever taxation may be going on. You can use that money for whatever reason. And if I was you, I would take it in ways that you have to borrow it. So if you borrow it from yourself, then and you use that money, it's not taxable anyway. And because one, you had to pay it back, and it was money that you took out. So now you didn't made the money that you needed to make. Do everybody understand that?
Repeat that.
Man, that's a lot, bro.
No, you ain't got to. I think I understand. I can work it out.
I'm just saying, basically, you just like it's just how you move the money, and that's just really what it all depends on, how you moving the money. And if you delay the distribution to distribute the money to the beneficiaries, if it's 3 years later, so let's say in 2029, the money you got $20,000, they're supposed to distribute to the beneficiary in 2029. So that means the trust don't have to that the trust don't have to report their tax. Neither does the beneficiary have to report it right now. So that's just money that's just sitting there. Are you just gonna sit there and let that money sit there? Or are you going to let that money do what it's supposed to do? And the best way to do it is borrow that money. Now, as soon as you borrow that money, what that means? No taxation, right? You borrow that money from yourself. Now that you borrow that money from yourself, go out there and make an increase. Increase it, right? And then come back and be a what? A cheerful giver.
You're saying you can borrow from yourself rather than just being the beneficiary and being taken care of.
There you go. Because if you borrow from yourself and then go increase it and then come back and give it to the trust, be a cheerful giver. You pay the trust back what you owe it, and then the rest you gift it. Now you got money that's not taxable. And you made enough to pay for the tax when they do distribute. And now it didn't really hurt your money. You still was able to keep all of it, right?
Not to sound so hood, but it's like you giving yourself consignment, you flipping it 3 ways, you coming back, paying off the consignment, and then just donating because of
Facts.
being nice.
Exactly. Every time.
My apologies for my hoodness.
Nah, I mean, we can take it there too. Like, we can go there. It's just no difference than the plug gave you some pounds. And he told you on the what, see, it's March, let's say in May, you gotta pay. Let's say you get the money before then. What you gonna do? You still got time. You ain't gotta distribute to the plug just yet. So how do you increase it? So let's say you find something that you know is guaranteed. You take that money and you invest it, and then it makes you another such and such amount of money. Then you gotta pay. But now we gifting. So if the plug feel like you owe a little interest, just gift. Here you go. He ain't gonna be mad at all, I promise you. It's the same exact thing, exactly what you just said. So it's really just knowing, and that takes us back to the story, the parable of the man with the talents, right? That they gave. It was 3 different ones. 2 of them went and made it, increased it. The other one went and buried the money and just waited till they got back to distribute it back to him. It was like, damn, bro, you ain't do nothing. I gave you something, you ain't use no knowledge, no wisdom. You ain't know how to make it grow. You just yeah, you useless. I would never give you money. Y'all too, I'm gonna double, triple y'all increases. Here y'all go. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Y'all have a nice day. Right? It can be done. It can be done. An activity is substantially related only if contributes importantly to the accomplishment of the organization's exempt purpose beyond the production of income. Mere association with the mission is insufficient. So educational, religious, or charitable language does not satisfy the test if the activity itself operates in a manner as a commercial service. The burden is structural, not rhetorical. When activity mirrors market commerce, it fails the test unless mission delivery is inseparable from the activity. So again, it's about the substance. And that's why I say, if you out here, you finna do you going to do voluntary work, then don't receive any form of compensation. Like, it's better for them to, if they want to compensate you, oh, okay, well, we have this charity service over here, and we're going to take care of your light bill, we're going to take care of your car note, whatever. And all of that is in a form of charitable gifting, right? Y'all see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's see. Filing triggers. Form 990T is required only when the organization has unrelated business income after allowable deductions exceed statutory threshold. It is not a default filing. It is a consequence of classification. So when no unrelated activity exists, no filing obligation exists, and filing in the absence of UBI does not increase safety. It creates unnecessary visibility. So eliminating UBI at the source requires correct structural design, not reporting strategies. So it's all about how you structure. How are you structuring the way your money moves and how it's being received and passed around? And all it takes is just clear understanding. So structure matters, right? Filing obligation. A tax return or information return is not merely a report. It is a jurisdictional act, as we do know. So when an organization files, it affirms that it falls within the class of entities to which the filing requirement applies. The IRS do not need to prove the applicability after a filing is made. The filer has already done so. So the code does not penalize silence where no duty exists. It penalizes failure to file only when a filing obligation is imposed by statute. So filing where no duty exists does not create safety. It creates exposure, records, and presumptions, and that did not previously exist. So these forms apply only to organizations that fall within the statutory definitions of entities required to file annual information returns. Churches and certain religious bodies are explicitly excluded from these requirements by law. that exclusion is not elective and does not require affirmation um, through filing. So there's nothing for you to affirm to do anything. The minute you go to ask to be exempt, though, buddy, you just put yourself in a world or place that you have to report now. So when a religious body voluntarily files a Form 990, it abandons statutory separation and places itself squarely inside the nonprofit reporting system. And from that point forward, continued filing is expected. Omissions are treated as non-compliance, and examination authority expands accordingly. Filing a Form 990 when not required is one of the most damaging voluntary acts as an organization can make. It converts protection into supervision instantly. Form 941 and W-2 filings are triggered only when the organization has employees under law, titles, intentions, and religious language do not control the determination. Capacity and function do. So when the organization files payroll forms without a statutory employment relationship, it creates one by admission. And from that point forward, employment tax obligations are presumed to exist, and reclassification becomes difficult to reverse. But churches used to be real cash bases. So it was very hard to know what money went through the church and what did not, based upon it being straight cash basis. And a lot of people refrain from using banks for this particular purpose because once banks start reporting some type of funds moving around, then now you got to classify what those funds were when it comes to, now you got to classify if you consider the income. If you don't, then there's nothing to report. Right? So keep that in mind. All right. 1099s apply only when payments meet specific statutory criteria and are made in reportable capacity. So if a 1099 don't exist, no need to file. If you do, it's an exposing you to, taxes. State charity registration and reporting requirements apply only when the organization solicits funds within statutory definitions imposed by state law. So religious bodies are often exempt, partially exempt, or excluded entirely depending on jurisdiction. Voluntary state charity registration where no duty exists creates a regulatory obligation that persists indefinitely. So many organizations mistakenly believe state filings are harmless formalities. They are not. They are regulatory elections with ongoing compliance and consequences. And it's the same thing. They follow the same thing the federal do. It's because if you're going to want to be recognized for certain reasons, and most people want to be recognized is because they want some type of funding. And that's the reason why a lot of people go into being a 501c3A and stuff like that to receive certain government funding. No, this does not mean that your church is evil or you can't speak on the truth or anything of that. It just means that your church cannot be involved in any form of political activity. That's it. We can prove it by law. We all can sit here and read it if you would like, but that is all the freak it means. It don't mean nothing else. Now, do they got other things that's going on behind closed doors, secret societies and stuff like that? Absolutely. That prevents a lot of stuff. That's true. But there is no law stating that it places you under any form of, what they say about it. It does not. Actually, a 508c1a is the exact same thing of the benefits of a 501c3 without having to file. That's it. You got the same rights, benefits, etc., all of that type of stuff. You just ain't got to file. And you don't believe it, go read it for yourself. Don't let people just tell you. So, trust and religious structures. Ecclesiastical trust operates as private fiduciary arrangements formed for religious purposes. Their authority derives from trust law, not from nonprofit statutes. When properly structured, the trust holds title to assets, intellectual property, and funds, while religious activity is carried out according to the trust's declared purpose. The critical distinction is ownership. Trusts do not operate as public charities by default. They exist as separate legal estates administered by fiduciaries. So the IRC does not presume reporting obligation merely because the trust is religious in nature. Reporting duties arise only when statutory triggers are met. Organizations destroy protection when they blur distinction between the religious body and trust that owns it. So when trust boundaries are respected, enforcement pathways narrow significantly. Holding trust exists to own assets and interests while remaining operationally inactive. This structure is essential because taxation follows activity, not ownership. By placing assets and equity under a holding trust, religious bodies separate mission execution from asset control. So the holding trust does not engage in commerce, solicit funds, or provide services. It holds title, issues authority, and governs allocation. Because it does not operate, it does not generate operational tax exposure. And this distinction is mechanical and enforceable. Organizations that attempt to operate directly through holding trusts collapse protections all the time. So operating entities exist to conduct day-to-day activity. When properly structured, they operate under authority of the trust, not as independent owners. The trust controls purpose, funds, and directions through resolutions, agreements, and fiduciary mandates. This structure allows operations to occur when necessary while insulating the trust and religious body from unnecessary reporting and liability. The operating entity bears operational exposure. The trust retains ownership and control. The mistake most organizations make is reversing this relationship. So when the operator owns the asset or control the funds, protection collapses. Separation of ownership in operation is the foundation of protection. When ownership is removed from daily activity, enforcement can bypass fiduciary law without statutory authority. So fiduciary control over funds ensures that money flows according to the trust purpose and not individual discretion. This prevents reclassification of funds as personal income, wages, or taxable distribution. So make sure it. And then here's the thing. What is the trust purpose? That all depends on how you structure it. That's your word. That's your law. You set that. So if it doesn't fulfill its purpose the way that you intended it to, then that might mean you need to reevaluate how you wrote it, how you structured it. Trust accounting replaces public reporting. Fiduciary records are maintained internally according to trust law, not disclosed publicly unless required by statute or court order. Internal resolutions govern authority, allocation, and purpose. These documents establish control without inviting regulatory supervision. Lawful allocation of funds follow fiduciary rules. Funds are distributed, reimbursed, or applied according to trust mandate. When allocations are lawful, no explanatory filings are required. So organizations often attempt to demonstrate compliance through disclosure. And disclosure is not compliance. Structure is. Right? So record keeping. We ain't got too much talk about this. Record keeping is going to be everything, guys. Right? Make sure you have great record keeping. Classify everything. Make sure everything is written out. It's called estate and planning. What's your plan? What's your structure? How is everything to move? What are things to be distributed? Once you classify everything in the actual trust, then everything else is going to be easy because now all you got to do is create ledgers for the specific purposes of the things that you know that you are going to allocate funds to. Right? So that's very important. Very important. Record keeping. Right? And that is the end of this one. I think this is pretty good. And this actually, for those of you who are going to be ready in the future, if I'm not mistaken, let me see if I put it up there today. I don't know if I did. No, I did not. But this means in the future for us, y'all should be ready for this then. And I've been waiting to get that one over with because once we get that one over with, now I think you guys are fully prepared for what is to come, which is the 508. So now that you are aware of that, now it is time for this. On Earth in Heaven, the 508 Master Edition, and it's going to show you specifically how to structure it just based upon everything that we said and how to do it. But I need you to understand what I said today first before I take you to this, because then you're not going to understand how you need to structure it to do exactly what you want to do. And according to taxation, et cetera, now that we're covering this, now you're learning more about what needs to be done to structure your entities and classify things the way that you need to properly do. Okay? So that's important as well. But I think I definitely like this the ebook that we had today. Very, very, very explanatory, very clear, and just being able to speak on those things is important, very important. So, what is your mission? What is the situation here for you guys? And are you ready to attack it in whole in that manner? So let's hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about today? Any things you guys want to speak on, state? More than welcome to at this time. I figured we was going to be left with this much time to start. I mean, once we get done, so it wasn't that long.
That was right on point for me. I was just over the weekend setting up, looking at my LLC structure and my living trust, and then I realized that it would probably I could run my if I ran my as long as everything's aligned, that I potentially had more to benefit from running my ownership through the ministry rather than just a living trust. Kind of like you just said.
And that's facts. And it's just really how you need to like. And again, the thing is you can see what you want to do. You can visualize what you want, and that's what it takes. So
Right on for you being on point. You always come with the Jews right at the right time, brother, right at the right time.
well, we moved with the spirit today. And the spirit told us to get it done. So I'm glad it was able to help
Amen.
somebody. You know what I mean? For sure.
Oh man.
Anybody else got anything they want to speak on? Ask, say.
I just want to say thank you for all the training. I just get ready to give you an update on that foreclosure case I've been working on for the last
Okay.
2 weeks. Um, we did the TRO in the Superior Court, but everything has to go to the federal due to the fact that it's 277 violations. We got the clerk for recording privileged papers, and we got a chain of title that's been broken so many times with nobody recording in the county, and it had a company trying to come do a settlement. They didn't have no authority, so we got all that proof and the law on that. So we filed the papers this morning, and from my understanding, we got to stay on that, and it's going to be remanded to the federal court due to the price of the house. And we had cease and desist, and they ignored that 3 times. So I just want to mention, we're talking about the trust and on taxes and different things. Please, everybody, if you have a trust, please record everything you do on a daily basis. At least if you can't do a daily, find a time that you can go back and keep yourself up to date. Because that is crucial to anything that you're doing when you're coming from a trust. Your record's going to save you due to the fact that you have the correct records, uh, and your record keeping is going to be the key to you win or lose anything you do, whether it's a foreclosure, court case, whatever. And you, especially if you're coming from the trust. I can't say that enough because if it hadn't been for the record keeping and the resolutions of the minutes for the purchase, the minutes for being conveyed to the trust, the conveyance, deed of trust, conveying a trust, equity title, all the things that you're supposed to have, and a UCC one, because that's affecting your interest in it. All those things count. And I just want to commend Eric for all the teaching since I've been here since work season 3 in my studying. He's on point on everything he's telling us, but you have to study it. Now, I like the way he began the class with Joshua 1 and 8 and Habakkuk. Those things are key to us being successful in whatever we're doing in life, court, whatever. And I want to thank you for your teaching.
Always thank you and glad to hear your voice today as well, man. And appreciate you always sharing that with us for sure. And like I say, the Lawman series, I would say it was inspired by you because you definitely, especially going through 3, 4, 5 seasons, those seasons, you kept expressing procedure and fully being able to make sure that we know and recognize those things. So I think that was definitely what inspired the breakdown of what we have today through these particular things. So appreciate you always for that as well too. Anybody else? If not, I'm gonna show y'all something else.
I want to thank you myself. I was able to open up another bank account for my sister now this time. Another ministry one. So I did the same process, walked her through the same thing I did, and we was able to open it up just yesterday, man. So I thank you again for everything. I appreciate how you teach us, the way you teach us, your your spiritual. You know what I mean? You woken me up in so many ways that I didn't even know I didn't even know I had to wake up. You know what I mean? So I thank you, man. I really thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, I got my hand raised, but I'm just gonna say
Go
it.
ahead.
um, yeah, I want to echo all that. Just it feels very powerful to be in this group in your ministry, in this mission. And I was with my kids this weekend, and I hear from even my ex-husband and my kids are like in their close to 30, how angry they are about the political situation, about the wars, and like they're just so angry. And I'm sort of like putting this question out to like God, because I know when we ask, we receive, and I'm open to receive how that information comes back. But like, I so want to share this, this honor and privilege it is to operate in this way, in communion with God and law, and how we engage with commerce is such a powerful way to um, express justice on the planet and get what they know in their heart they want to create, but they have no idea how. And right now they're not interested in what I'm doing here, and so if anybody has any recommendations or like thoughts or consideration about how to engage the family members who
I can tell
I
you right now.
okay okay
Trust me, I can tell you. Number
okay
one, don't give a damn. Keep going.
okay
Because what happens is, like, time plus consistency equals growth, and you're going to produce results that they have never thought would could be done. And it's going to be amazing, right? And you're
yeah
going to be used as an example. You also got to be okay with that. So that means that sometimes you're going to be put through a fire to be brought through something to be made to show the glorification of the hard work of what God has established within you. And when they see that, they're gonna not have no choice but to say, "Hey, mom, I see you. I see what you're doing. I acknowledge it. I see it. I can't deny it. I've seen the results myself. I saw you sit there for this amount of time studying, and then they're gonna see you get excited about something you accomplished, or they're gonna see it. So it's really just more so about your journey and you continuing that journey. Those that's going to come, they're gonna come. Not everybody will, and that's fine. That's cool. But at the same time, like you gotta look at it, like again, there's not one single family member in here with me that is my family. I want you to know that. It's not one. You know what I'm
yeah
saying? Now at first they was looking at me like, man, that dude tripping, he crazy. And now it's
yeah
like, hey, we proud of you. We see what you're doing. Like they done went on trips and conferences to me. Some of y'all done met some of my family, my sister, my mother, and things of that nature. Y'all done seen them, and they like, oh, okay. I see what you got going. I see it. I see the results. I see what's happening. I see people giving their testimonies about what you're doing, et cetera. Like, but it's just a time, and it's not even really for you to really go about right now. God is dealing with you. You know what I'm
yeah
saying? When He's ready to, and he might just use you to oppose to your family. That might how it has to happen. But right now, it ain't really so much as you need to really focus on them with it. When God send the people who need to see it to you, then be ready to, be ready to show and
okay
be ready to work. It's gonna take some things, and it'll be something that they run into, and you might you've been around, and then next thing you know, you're gonna find out, oh, you got a problem with this. Well, come here, let me show you how to do this. Here, do this, take this, send it over there, and they're gonna come back, Mom, it worked. I know it
yeah
worked. You know what I'm
yeah
saying? Like it happens to mine. You know what I'm saying? Our older boys and stuff like that, they go through little situations. Yeah, I one get a damn traffic ticket damn near every day, every week, or something going on. So we constantly having to send him letters and stuff like that. And now he's starting to realize, like, damn, this is really kind of important to know. Like, I needed to know this because otherwise I would have been paying money that I didn't need to pay. I just would have went straight in there and paid it, not knowing that I could really win this situation. So it's gonna happen the way it happens. Don't put too much on that when you trying to get you right. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what happened. um, but I also wanted to let everyone know, speaking on what Doc who was mentioning about Terry. I had a lot of confusion around how to record, and I've been trying all these different ways, and it was just like a mess because I'm traveling all the time. But I've created sort of like a administrative hub or governance hub to record everything and administrate easier, and tying everything to a ledger, and then it creates like an evidence track. So like if I'm just preparing everything to get ready to court if I need to. So I'm willing to share what I'm creating with your members. Yeah, if anybody's interested.
All righty. Well, that was an open invitation to you guys.
Thank you,
I'm
Heather. We
definitely
appreciate that.
interested.
Okay.
Love it.
I'm interested too.
Okay. Well, let me figure out how I can share it, and then I'll bring it back next week. How's that?
All righty.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Can't you share it in the group?
Yeah, I'll just share it in
The Facebook group.
Facebook group. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Cool.
perfect.
Hey, if you ain't in Facebook group, you ain't gonna get
Thank
it.
you.
Better get there.
So
Yeah.
Eric, this is okay. So Eric, this is a little bit of a praise report and a question in here too. It's going to be a big praise report though. Okay, so you know how just to skip through everything, all of us know how you teach, and you teach bold and to be bold and to stand on truth, proof, law, remedy, or relief. And so last year in February, with a car situation, they sent something about collection, and they were going to move forward with legal things. So did everything that you were saying, even had asked some questions and did it all. And mind you, I called them up and they admitted, after all these requests, even a publicly recorded billing error dispute last year in February, after they sent it and sent them a letter back, I followed up, and on the phone she said, well, we don't have the contract because we shredded it. It's our policy that we shred the policy, that we shred the contract. So I had been asking for it and saying to her then that for 2 years I've been asking for it. And in 2025, they still haven't been able to find it. And I had recorded them each time saying, well, it's at the headquarters or it's at the local bank. It's at this one. They've been giving me the runaround. So finally, last year at the headquarters, she said they shredded it. So there's no contract, no lack of standing. So I sent them a follow up to that in February, around May of last year, and it shut them down. They never did anything. But of course, you tell us to have the balls and move forward and to take them to court, and didn't. But you were really bold again towards the end of the last year, and got us all motivated. So you told us to be filing those notice of default. So I went on and filed a notice of default in January on President's Day, had it notarized January the 20th, and acting like a president. As you said, you got to act like you're the one, in the right, and that you're doing right first and right. So I did do that, and I did a notice of default to them. That it's been over a year again after they had already made the request, and that they didn't move forward with it. I apologize. And they didn't move forward with it, and that they still haven't provided anything. And on a recorded line, double recorded line, because their line said they were recording it and I was recording it, that she admitted that they shredded the contract, that they do that, and that they scan a copy. But the scanned copy she had was unsigned, and she couldn't find a copy of the scanned copy. So she only had a blank one. So I gave them 15 days to release the title to the car. And instead, they finally hired an attorney, an outside attorney, and tried to hit me with the civil suit. And so, what did they include in their civil suit? A blank contract has typed up there all our information, no signature from me, no signature from that. And because I had a credit card with them, they went on and included that to add it all up to that they want it all paid. But I had sent them that, and it's in retaliation. And they're still in the billing error dispute. So they're not supposed to be trying to collect, they're supposed to be providing evidence. And that was a notice of default I gave them, just like you said. Again, it was really another one, but this way it was at least my third time that I can prove by certified mail and green card return that they signed for it, sent to their CEO each time, and someone signed for it. So what I was going to ask you was, I know I've got this because there's no standing, there's no chain of title, and I told them in this last one again that this is double enrichment. The insurance is paid, it's been securitized. That's why you don't have the contract. Not only not do you have the original, but you don't even have a scanned copy, true copy of the front and back, where I endorsed it on the back already for demand to redeem for lawful money. And so they have nothing. And so they put this in there to try to intimidate me and scare me. And I feel so good about it. I just tell that when God told Joseph what was meant for evil, God meant it for good. I love you and Nikki. I'm telling you, this is going to be a blessing, and you got the fruits of this, because in what I sent them in January, I told them I wanted the treble damages. It's all false and deceptive trade practices. And then they shredded the evidence after I've been demanding it and made it public record. They went and shredded the evidence because they overcharged me. It was never that amount. And now they can't prove it was ever that amount. That's how we went into billing error dispute. It was much less than that of the loan. But now I don't even believe they made a loan because they shredded the contract. So it's just, to me, it just looks so good. But here's what I wanted to make sure that I'm doing the steps correctly.
Well,
So
the thing you should have did was first, if you already got a case going, then you should make sure that other cases being dismissed because there's already an ongoing case about the same situation, and you can make
I
them do
never
that.
filed the other case. I sent it in January, tell them a notice of default, and
So
sent
you
them.
haven't filed it yet.
I hadn't filed it. I sent them, gave them 15 days, and gave them a
So now,
copy of the sample I was gonna file, just like you taught.
so
But
they
it
went on
scared
and jumped to the point. So it's just
Uh-huh.
simple though. At the end of the day, you got all your communication, etc. There's no signature upon any of those particular contracts that you're speaking on. So there you go. It's a win. I mean, it's just make sure that you attack those particular errors. There's no standing here. So that's what you need to make sure that the case is dismissed upon.
So when I file now, first I'm filing the motion to dismiss based on the fact there's no standing, no chain of title, and they're already in default, right?
Yeah, I'm challenging personal jurisdiction. Shoot, what's the? How do y'all got jurisdiction on me when there's no that this company has no standing to have? There's no reason for me to be here. There's no contract. There's nothing stating that I have a contract. There's no signature. Yeah, there's the information on there, but where's the signatures?
Gotcha. All right. And then my motion to, then I still respond though to the claim, or I don't need to respond to the claim, just do the motion to dismiss and a summary judgment. Can the summary judgment be ask for summary judgment as a part of the motion to dismiss, or file a
No,
motion to
because a
dismiss and then do
summary
a motion to
judgment is
dismiss?
after answers and all of that has been done. You doing a motion to dismiss because there's no standing here, and you're going to identify that okay, there's no evidence for you to even answer any further or anything. Like you just is when you looking at it, because if what you say is, so now you saying where there's supposed to be signatures at, it's just blank, nothing there.
Blank. Absolutely
But
blank.
yeah, y'all ain't finna have me in court talking about nothing. No,
So
what
just
y'all
a
talking?
motion to dismiss and a summary judgment.
No. Motion to dismiss. There's no need for a summary judgment because a summary judgment comes if you answer, they say what they need to say or something of that nature, and they don't answer. Then you can now they will move for a summary judgment on you based upon things they already have or know. Like it's just to summarize and judge on particular things that can be judged on right then and there. You still got other things that you might have to deal with. So, but the point is, it's no reason for you to speak on the summary judgment when you can just dismiss the case.
There's nothing to adjudicate, right?
Yeah, it's nothing to adjudicate. Exactly. It's nothing to judge.
Yeah.
Got you. So
Good
I'm
job,
filing a
Heather.
motion to dismiss and list all these reasons, primarily jurisdiction. And then can I file my countersuits now that I already served them with? I mean, because they, by tacit agreement,
If you want to
it's
put a counterclaim in there particular, you can.
gotcha. Okay, I can do that too. And wait till after I do it at the same time, or wait, give it a
No, I'm gonna
time.
put it both in at the same time. A counterclaim can go in right after the month because now you're shifting the case to where now you are becoming the actual plaintiff and they are the respondent. So they got to answer and deal with what you're doing because you put a counterclaim in. Now I'll go and your counterclaim, you're gonna show all the stuff that he did and all the evidence that you have collected and that you already been doing this with them. And they never showed proof, and you got proof that they destroyed it. So according to, is it UCC 3-604? Let me make sure. Yeah, discharged by cancellation or renunciation. So if they destroyed it, it says if they surrender the instrument, any destruction, mutilation, or cancellation of the instrument, they destroyed it. It's destruction. So they would have to literally say why they don't have it, this and that. And it can't be by policies. See, this is the thing about if they destroy some type of contract. If they destroy a contract and they only got a copy of the contract, they have to send you a copy of that contract and say, hey, we basically lost the whatever type of contract. We need you to declare this as the original. So will you sign this and say that everything is correct in this manager, all signatures, whatever? They're going to use that copy now as if it's the original because both of the parties agreed. They can't just up and pop up with a contract that's blank and saying, hey, we got control. Like that is insane to even do. What freaking lawyer do they even? They just getting paid. I need to go I'm finna go be a lawyer and just get paid off of these people. Because that's just stupid. Why would you even go and the lawyer can lose? It don't matter. They getting paid.
Yeah.
They getting paid. Yes, the separate Facebook group is ingodwetrustacademy.com. I'm not .com, but In God We Trust Academy is on Facebook. So yeah, you can go there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Eric. Remember, in front of everybody here, I'm saying this is my church right here. This is it. And Eric's my pastor, so he'll be getting this is where we do our tithes and
Amen.
offerings right here, right here, right here. Thank you.
All love. What's up, Heather? You got something else before we get out of here?
Yeah, one more question about that agreement. I mean the contract. Like what it,
You breaking up.
my car contract originally was signed digitally. Again, jeez. How about now?
Go ahead.
Better? Okay. What about digital contracts?
I mean, even when it comes to digital, it still got to be done in a certain type of way. You still got chain of assignment and everything like that to deal with, regardless.
Okay.
Still got chain of title, chain of assignment, all of that. Still got to be itemized calculations. Still got to be proof of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then it's also got to be agreement that you agreed to electronic contract.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There has to be that too.
I'm sure that's in there.
No, I'm just saying all those things have to be in there, but regardless, it's still chain of title that gets messed up the most. Transfer of assignment,
Mm-hmm.
that gets messed up because what you got to realize, the transfer of the note and assignment has to happen. If they transfer the note without the assignment, then it's still a failure because you can transfer the note. How you transfer the note, pay to the order of. How you transfer the assignment, then there has to be a conveyance of the, I mean, an assignment that's being done to whoever is receiving, right? So
Mm-hmm.
those two have to be done. And again, they have to be done separately. And that has to happen every time that they transfer the note. A lot of times, like Brother Terry was just talking earlier, like, man, they didn't mess it up so bad so many times that it's crazy. They'll do one and don't do the other, so they might have transferred the note, but forgot the assignment 2 transfers ago. And then somebody looked at it and thought they had the assignment and they did an assignment, but they never had the right to do it because it was never assigned properly 2 transfers ago.
Wow.
So, and I told you guys the way they do this, they accept what you call portfolios. They do batch loadings and everything is automated. Systems shut down, systems messed up. Sometimes some stuff sent through, it didn't fully come all the way through. Sometimes certain documents didn't make it through sending. Things get lost. Like, it happens more than you can imagine. It's no difference than you trying to send something and not everything didn't correctly send. You was like, well, I don't know why that happened. I know I sent it, but somebody was like, well, I didn't get it. And you was like, well, I know I sent it. Well, that happens every day. And the only thing the company does is just take it for what it's worth and just keep moving. They'll just on to the next. They don't got time to sit down and focus on little old you when they still got other millions of transactions going on. Only time that they got to take time to sit down and focus on you and make sure everything is correct properly is when it's time to go to court. And by then, it's too wet. Late.
They're just banking on our ignorance,
Every time. Everybody's banking on that.
And Synchrony Bank had filed a suit against me for a credit line, for a credit contract, and they submitted as the evidence the contract agreement with the clause, what's it called when you go to settle outside of court, the arbitration clause in
Right.
it. And I'm like, really? How is that even possible? Like, in your contract, you have a clause about going to arbitration and not going to court, and then you are trying to file against me out of arbitration, and we haven't gone to arbitration. It doesn't make any sense. So, yeah,
Well,
it got dismissed.
it got dismissed, right?
Yeah. Well, I had it, dismissed for that lack of subject matter jurisdiction.
And that's what you do.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Great job. And see, that's the type of stuff that your children need to see and hear. Show them. They can't deny you. It happened. It's right there. Here's the proof. Maybe they have someone that has a situation or they self or whatever, but it's true. Miss Edwards, what's up?
Yeah, hello? You can hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay. How about a situation where you're trying to prove that they securitized the loan? For example, in a case that I have attached the documentation with Security and Exchange, but they did an affidavit or swearing that when I did the motion to compel, they're stating that the loan was not securitized and that there's no chain of title for them to give because the loan was never securitized.
So that means you're dealing with a credit union, probably.
No, this is actually Bank of America, and I was able to pull up the
what type of
securitized.
they definitely securitize. All you can go do is look at the SEC. They
I
securitize.
did, and I attached that to the complaint. But when I went to court for the hearing, the judge is like, "Well, they did an affidavit saying they didn't securitize it from the secretary, so they that it stands or whatever." And I'm like, "No, I have evidence, and I did an affidavit showing that it was securitized."
So I mean, but just because, like, you got to understand this, just because they were supposed to securitize it, and it shows that they were supposed to in the SEC, don't mean that they did. And if they didn't, that's really where they get in trouble with the SEC. So it just
But the document, the document I pulled up shows that it is securitized.
your specific loan.
well, not mine specific, but in general, that all their loans, all credit cards have to be securitized. That is what they have to
So
go
what I'm
by.
trying to
Based
tell
on
you
that.
is, if they fail to do it according to what they had, they really would be in trouble with the Security Exchange Commission. So it might be more about how you are presenting your cause of action against them than anything. Because really, like, securitization is if they do securitize it, it's still what happens in securitization is where they mess up at. It's not anything wrong with securitizing the actual note, but when they securitize it, a lot of separation happens, and they forget to transfer the note and assignment together. That's the reason why the note and the mortgage has to go together, because the mortgage gives the power to enforce. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. So if they're claiming they did not securitize it, they would still be not in compliance, right? So if I do an affidavit showing that they're, I guess, not in compliance because it's required for them based on their process to transfer it or something, isn't it required?
But see, and that could be, but see, that the only thing that matters is does your cause of action relate to what you're saying? So did you, the way you brought your cause of action against them, or well, are you a defendant or plaintiff?
No, I'm actually the defendant
Okay,
on the
so if
case.
you're the
Yeah.
defendant in it, then yeah, you can expose. It's nothing. So you didn't bring the cause of action. So now you can
No,
expose them in things that they were supposed to do. Now you got to also understand the court that you may be in. Is it a small claims court?
it's a circuit court.
So it's a circuit court. So the circuit court is still when it comes to judges and stuff like that, it's more so of you truly understanding. Just because they say something don't necessarily mean it stick, or is it absolutely so. Especially when your duty, is job is just to preserve the record. So just make sure that you do those particular things. And now again, so if that's the case, if they say they don't have no title or transfer to show, etc., then that means that they should have the original contract and everything right there for you, right?
Well, when it's a credit card, there's no original contract, it's a stated account. So I did do a motion to compel, and she did grant that for them to show me their books
Yeah.
on the accountant
Good
because the
job.
statement is not proof of debt.
Exactly. Good job. So now you want them to open up their books, not just, but you should have stated specifically what all you want to see, because now that's what matters. Now, what all do you want to see in relation to the books?
Yeah, I stated that I want to see the Gap account, and she told them that they had to show me and give me the documentation.
Okay. Well, you straight right now. You doing good.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Doing real good.
So, Eric, I heard you ask her that at first, then her account must have been credit union, and she said it was Bank of America. So mine is a credit union. So in general, then they don't usually securitize.
It's just they do stuff different.
Okay. But either way, my main thing here, my main leg to stand on is the fact they don't have the
They ain't
contract,
got no
whether they
standing.
securitize or whatever. They just don't have a contract, and it's deceitful for them to even put a blank contract in there, um, as if that's the contract.
It is, but that's why it's not admissible evidence. That's why I always tell y'all, think about admissible evidence. That the evidence is, it shows no standing. It does not prove that you have a contract with them or they have a contract with you. It's just, yeah, it might have a name and stuff like that, but there's no signatures bringing into an agreement to where both people or parties basically solidifies themselves to performance and obligations of the contract.
Gotcha. And they included the credit card, and that's just an application. And again, no contract. And it even has my occupation up there incorrect because it was a phone application. And I did go in and sign it, but I don't know why they didn't keep anything.
But
So,
that ain't. But that's not. That see them. Their policy stating to get rid of the original contract, and that's not your fault. That's their fault. That's what you
mhm.
call the admissible evidence. If they can't show you proof of where you signed a particular contract or where you had, just say, I don't know what this contract is. This is not the same as that contract, etc. And if they got to come in and say, well, we destroyed their contract. Well, if it's under destruction, then now you got to use UCC 3-604, but you got to use that in a manner of the particular state that you're dealing with.
Okay, so look that up for the law that correlates to that for North Carolina, right?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Because this
Okay.
is destruction. So now they should have told you and related to you that they destroyed it and that they need to, solidify a new original contract, whether you have to sign something new again that they may want you to, or send you a copy or something with that particular signature on it, stating that you and this party recognize that this is now the original contract.
Mhm.
And credit unions securitize, but not under their own company. They have to get an investment company to securitize underneath that company.
Yeah,
So
some
if
do,
you go to
some do, and some
chat
don't.
GPT, will pull it up.
Right. Some do and some don't. Like it just depends, and that's why it's always good for us to understand the people that we're going to do business with. Are we just going to banks just because it said a bank name and we saw a commercial, or did we really go look at the Security Exchange Commission filings from these particular banks, et cetera, and see what they actually doing? And this is actually a good bank to go and deal with when it comes to this stuff like, which I know we haven't. We just not getting into this type of stuff. But the truth is, that's how we should look at things. We should look at every parenting company, who runs what. It's always good to see. And a good businessman or woman is always going to make sure that we know we recognize the party that we are doing business with, and we have a full background check on who and what they are, what they're supposed to do, and things of that nature. But this goes back to me saying again, like, man, they so ready for us to go out here and get a car, but a child, these kids just finna go get a car at 18, 19. They don't know nothing about auto loan back securities or none of that stuff, right? They don't know. So it's just like, oh, I just signed a contract, but it's more so again, and I don't care who they are, credit unions, whatever, they all mess up. They all do things out of the ordinary, like things, they all do it. The main thing is, are you knowledgeable and have wisdom enough to see those things and apply the law against those things to make sure that you get the remedy that you're looking for? Absolutely.
So, Eric, if they're saying that they didn't do the insurance that unknowingly is billed to us in the premiums, that's violation of also what you were telling her then, right? Just like,
I mean, the thing is, if it's stated in the contract that they're supposed to do this or do that, or in the statutory law, and they don't do it, it's a violation regardless. I mean, no matter how we want to look at it, if it's stated in law or in the contract, some obligations was to be fulfilled and they were not fulfilled, or some things were not fully disclosed, or they don't have the standing for something. It doesn't. That's the things that you attack. If it's wide open, they left it wide open to attack. Attack those situations and make sure that you win.
got you. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So also, I don't know if you guys have got the Fair Credit Reporting series. If you have not, this is also going to be added to it. There are 5. So there's enforcement templates against the furniture. That's one. Then we got enforcement templates against the agencies. That's one. And you also got enforcement templates for reinvestigation, failure, and noncompliance. And then you also got unauthorized permissible purposes for people just running the shit out your credit. So that's one for that as well. And adverse action. So that's when they deny you employment off of your credit report, deny you anything dealing with your credit report. So these templates are that, and these 5 have been added to it as well. So they make a total of what it was 10. That's 15. 15. Yeah, 15 ebooks. And I think it was what, $222 for the whole entire thing, whole package. So there you go. And I'm going to add that to it. Yes, I know that it's cheap, but oh well, you guys will be okay. That is cheap, okay? If you don't like it, go take up the road. Go up the road, let him bust your head for about $2,000. So yes, it's okay. But it is definitely very, 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 very accurate information and things to help you for different situations that may occur as well. So, but I appreciate you guys. If you had to rate today's class, what would it be?
Infinity once again.
Absolutely. Appreciate y'all. And man, we'll be here Tuesday to finish up volume 2. and we'll press on from that. And Surety Ship, all of that's getting ready to come out in April as well. June will be in Atlanta. July will be in Chicago. So prepare yourself wherever you can make it at. Do be able to come. Will be two different classes. It's not gonna be the same class in Atlanta or Chicago. So do know that. So yeah, we'll online class, all of that. Everything that I normally do is gonna be done. So just make sure. The main thing is now I just gotta find if any of y'all know somebody what I'm talking about a good venue. Now I know how I want a great venue. Needs to be presentable, needs to be clean, needs to be have the certain things that I need. I'm gonna look for stuff myself. But if some of y'all just automatically know or have one of yourself in those particular areas that we be gonna be in, man, let me know. I would love to utilize my own people and make do a business exchange with yourself for your particular, or we can do gifting, cheerful giving for your particular space and area as well. So just to put that out there for anyone. And yeah. And also June 20th, we're still giving away the car. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty, man. Do as much as you can if you want to. We got plenty of ebooks that are still going along with that as well. And it's going to be a great day on that particular day as well. So I appreciate you guys, man. That is it. I'll probably see you guys sometime later tonight. I'll be on TikTok later. So those of y'all know, want to be involved on that. And I always give TikTok the extra little time because they don't get to see what we're putting on here on the screen. So we do our extra stuff at night as well. So y'all catch us there. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great night, a great evening.